All right, so the Leadership and Equity Committee of IAPOH is going to be made up of 5 of the co-chairs from the 5 topic-specific working groups. That'll be 10 members who are representing the working groups. And of those working groups, you heard that we're hoping the co-chairs are co-led by community and regional grassroots leaders or folks who really understand community context, and those who might have policy or statewide or subject matter expertise in the topic. And it might be that those folks are from the same place, but both the community leader and a subject matter expert, for example. But we want to make sure that we're not just driving policy without community representation. So those 10 folks who are volunteering and stepping up to be work group co-chairs will also be on the leadership committee. We will also include at-large members. We don't necessarily have a number of slots we're trying to fill. We ideally would like between around 17 and 25 members of our coalition being part of this leadership and equity committee. So that would be between 7 and 15 additional at-large members. We will probably take most people who volunteer, because as you know, finding volunteers for coalition work can be hard. So most cases, but if we do get to the point where we have 25, 30, 50 people trying to volunteer, we will have to make some choices to look at our mix of diversity, have people vote for who they want. And we're really looking for a mix of people, representative of all Illinois communities by geography. So we love, both by region, southern, northern, central, urban, rural, suburban. We love a great representation of various priority populations by race and ethnicity, ability, age, gender, sexuality, income. So if you're working with a specific priority population, you really want to make sure that you have their voice to be heard, or a specific region where you really want to make sure you represent that region. We'd love to have you on this leadership and equity committee. And so again, looking to make sure our leadership is representative of the state. So the time commitment, we are going to be moving to quarterly leadership and equity committee meetings. For any of you on the current leadership committee, we have them every other month. We're going to move to quarterly and have ad hoc meetings if needed in between. We expect, because they're more spread out, they'll probably be an hour and a half each, but occasionally they might be an hour. If you're a work group co-chair, you'd also have your additional quarterly work group meetings. So those will be 1 hour each. And then occasional responses to emails from IAPOH staff. So every once in a while, we'll send out something where we'll say, hey, someone's requested IAPOH to sign on to this policy statement or submit public comments. Here's what we plan to do. If you have any concerns, let us know, or if there's something we're missing. So there might be an occasional email like that where the leadership committee and equity committee is asked to weigh in. We would ask you as desired and available to participate in IAPOH events, learning opportunities, maybe sharing your local work or your policy expertise with the coalition. Again, that would be on a voluntary basis. So we estimate it would be between 6 and 15 hours a year. So 6 hours is if you're just coming to the quarterly meetings and maybe answering an email here or there. 15 if you're really engaging in a lot of these other meetings, or also leading a work group. For compensation, most members volunteer their time as part of their paid employment. So if you're representing an organization and your organization is paying you to do this type of work, you're here because you're trying to make connections and work collectively towards policy. However, we also want to recognize that some of our community-based leaders may need a stipend to participate in this time. And even if they're paid by their employer to do this type of work, they may be working off of grants that don't allow this kind of thing. And so really we are open to paying for community-based leaders who need to have their time paid for to participate. So if that's you, please, in the endorsement form, you'll see there's a place to mark that you would like to be considered for that. We do know we have funding for it for this next year. Of course, in the end, ultimately, it's always up for funding if available funding allows, but we would like to be able to provide stipends, and the amount depends on how many people need it, but between $600 and $1,000 a year for that time. So that is an opportunity. Some examples of the leadership and equity committee work. Sometimes our leadership and equity committee members will bring a new policy idea to the coalition or help lead a policy strategy. They might give advice on keynote speakers or best practice successes to highlight at IAPOH meetings and events. They often work to connect their network or their local community for input or expertise into IAPOH priorities. Often they will represent the voice of their network or community and key policy decision or strategy discussions that we're having as a leadership or equity committee. Oftentimes brainstorming new ideas or partners to connect with. sharing your work or expertise at IAPOH meetings, events, trainings, and again, responding to these requests where sometimes we're like, we're going to do this, and you have 24 hours to tell us if there's a problem because it aligns, or asking for advice over email. And so we really encourage the members to really lead. While we do have a lot of grant work at IAPHI that drives some of the implementation of our strategies, a lot of you all also have work that drives implementation. And so IAPOH really is a collective, and we ask everyone to chip in, weigh in, work together, because we know together we can do more than on our own. So this is really a place to do that. And for this new iteration, we are really wanting to lift up equity and make it center to our work. And so we're hoping a diverse set of voices on the Leadership and Equity Committee can help us strategically think about communities that are missing from the table, thinking about unintended consequences as we talk about policy, thinking about new ways of improving work group engagement to make it easier or better for folks to participate. So we really want to keep equity at the core, and this group will help us do that, and it'll be part of every meeting agenda. So with that, I will stop recording. Find the button.